Hello. We are getting ready to go live with Kate, Light on Lotus in LA. Excited to chat with this West Coast based studio. It's a studio partner, and we are so grateful for the support of all our studio partners. They are the only reason that this magazine is an actual magazine. It's not just an idea. Oh, I see you're there, Kate. I'm gonna add you in. Have you join us? All right, let's see. Come on, Instagram. All right, there you are. I see you.
Hello.
Yay!
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Happy to see you.
Yeah, and you're in your studio. Yay! I'm so excited.
Yeah, there she is.
Amazing. So for anyone that's just joining us now, can you introduce yourself really quick?
My name is Kate Dine. I'm the founder and creative director of Light on Lotus Yoga in Los Angeles. And we've been open since 2016 now, and miraculously survived COVID. So happy to be a partner of yours.
Yes, thank you so much. And when I hear that a studio's been open for this long, I'm like, first of all, that's amazing. You're a small business, you're a yoga studio, and then you had the pandemic on top of all the challenges, shall we say, of running and owning a small business.
Oh, you know it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was no small feat.
Yeah. What has it been like? Do you feel like, I mean, you're in LA, so you guys got hit pretty hard like we did in New York. Do you feel like you're back to normal? Does it feel?
I feel like it finally got back to normal in the fall of 2022. It took that long.
Yeah.
Took that long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was finally fall of 2022 where I was like, all right, this feels good again. Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you've seen a lot of things over the year. I was looking, did you guys have a fire in your studio at one point? Is that something that I
That's a true story. It wasn't actually in our studio, which is the misconception. It started in this kitchen of the neighboring restaurant. So the stove of the restaurant next door butted up against our wall.
Right.
And their fire that started in their stove went up through the yoga studio. Yeah.
Were you
And
there when
the restaurant was fine? And
were you actually in the studio when it happened, or
No.
did someone call you and was like, guess what?
Yeah, it happened at about 4 a.m. So no, but when my front desk and an early morning teacher arrived at 6 a.m., the fire department had completely, gutted the place, and everything was thrown out on the street in a big pile of rubble. It was very traumatic.
So in those moments, and I love asking people this question, in those moments where you're just like hit with this huge, massive thing, what is the first thing that you do? How do you sort of approach these situations? Is there a person or a mantra or something in your practice that you go to that you're like, this is step one to get to this next area?
That's exactly it. It's like, what's you've got to prioritize. Like what's the best next thing?
Yeah.
You can't do it all at once. It's like you can only do one thing at a time. Yeah. And you have to choose, like, okay, what's the most important thing to handle in this very moment now?
Yeah. And you were probably like, are we literally on fire anymore? No. Okay, next step.
I had to go to the fire department and get a fire report, and call the insurance company and have pictures taken of all the damage, and it was actually very interesting because it happened March 6th, 2019, and then almost exactly a year later, the pandemic started, shutdown started.
Yeah.
So in a way, that unfortunate experience actually prepared me to pivot and shift and become like really resilient and sort of flexible in way, because I was able to, I'd already experienced that loss, you know, and that feeling of having to start over and having to rebuild and having to shift gears.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did you do before you owned your studio? What was your past life, if you will?
Well, I have been teaching yoga since 2004, so it's a long time. I started in New York at Laughing Lotus, and then I moved with the Laughing Lotus family to San Francisco to help them get their San Francisco location started, and then ended up in LA. But long before I was teaching yoga, I was a dancer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love that. You're actually, I think, the first person that I've spoken to. Most people seem to come from lawyers or finance, or there's a lot of people that come from administrative, but I think you're actually the first teacher that's actually gone on to actually own a studio, which is interesting to me.
That is interesting.
Yeah. Maybe it's the newer studios, I'm not sure, but there seems to be a lot of people that come from a more business side and then are like, I'm done, and then they start, you know, a yoga studio, and that's how they get started. Laughing Lotus was my first yoga studio.
Oh my
so
gosh. Cool. Okay.
Yeah, so I was so excited to hear that about you. My first, actually, I should clarify, my first yoga class was at the YMCA. Okay. And then my first actual studio was Laughing Lotus, because I lived around the corner. So I was like, wow, it was so, it's definitely its own signature style. Yeah.
And we're continuing that tradition here for the most part. We include other styles as well, but I still teach in that way. That very like creative, dancerly way, including the mudras and the mantras, the theming.
And really, the wall. You have the wall.
And the wall right there. Yeah.
The wall.
Yeah.
Have you noticed? I mean, you've been practicing for a really long time, and now as a studio owner as well. Has your personal practice changed over the years?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I was definitely slowed down. Yeah. And out of necessity. I mean, I became a mother. You know, that was a big life shift. Yeah. And I think a more grounded, slower practice has been good for me as a mother, for sure, and also as a business owner, and also during these tumultuous times that we've been experiencing. Actually, since my studio opened in 2016, I remember, that was when a certain president was elected, and it was really really difficult for a lot of the women I knew in my community, and our studio became kind of like a safe space for people to come and sort of cry and grieve, like all of the disappointing changes in our political system.
And still, right? I mean, it's still
we're not out of the woods there at all.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting time too. When you noticed your personal practice changing, and I ask this because I'm curious personally, because I've noticed, especially since the pandemic, a complete shift in my practice. Were you just like, okay, this is it, it's changing? Did you find yourself fighting it a little bit, or just kind of like it was a natural progression for your practice to evolve?
It was very natural. I don't think I even needed to think about it. It just happened. Yeah. It just slowed down. I mean, obviously I was teaching just online for a couple months, and it was just a lot more grounded, a lot more still, a lot more breath work, a lot more meditation. I wasn't teaching handstands on Zoom, just didn't feel right. People need to be close to the earth,
Did you find that what your community wants has changed as well, or has that sort of stayed consistent?
The need for sound baths has increased more and more over the years. The need for quieter, more contemplative practices, for sure. But I still find that people need to move. They need to move this energy through, you know? So there is still a real desire for like a very challenging physical practice too, where people are able to just kind of move that energy through so it's not stuck in their body.
Yeah.
Like an outlet.
Yeah. Are you guys still offering online or Zoom classes at this point, or is it only?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Not every single class. I mean, we were in person and online for every class for so long.
Yeah.
It just got to be a little too much to be on camera that much, really. You know, and it's also to teach in person and online it requires a lot of the teacher.
Yeah.
So now we have a selection of classes that are online. So it's on the schedule. So every class is in person, and some classes are online, but you can tell which ones they are. They'll have a little camera icon.
Perfect.
Next to their schedule. Yeah.
Because I'm sure you found, as a lot of studios did, that your community grew outside of LA, right? You know, all of a sudden, anyone could take your classes.
It's true. And I have students from New York and from San Francisco that were then able to practice with me again, which was really sweet. Yeah. I even have several students in Europe that are still popping in online. Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah. What's coming up that you're excited about for the studio? Do you have workshops or retreats that are coming up?
We have an in-person workshop this weekend with Rima Jha from the Bay Area. He's teaching a Katona intensive Saturday and Sunday, April 1st and 2nd. I'm leading a retreat in Mallorca over Memorial Day. I almost said Labor Day. Memorial Day. So the end of May, I'll be in Mallorca on retreat. There are 2 rooms left, actually. So visit the website under events. It's listed there. And I'm also working on 300-hour teacher training for the fall.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff. When you're deciding where to do a retreat, how do you narrow it down? I mean, now, thankfully, with everything being open, you could literally go anywhere in the world. How did you decide where you wanted to have this retreat?
Because I have a very romantic memory of Mallorca from a million years ago, and I love Barcelona and I love Spain, and I haven't been there in so long. I was like, okay, where do I want to go back to first? And that was it. It was pretty easy to decide, actually. Yeah.
I love it. So is this your first trip since the pandemic, or is this your first retreat?
It's not my first retreat. It's my first international retreat. Yeah. I've had a retreat in Joshua Tree since the pandemic, which is, pretty much the backyard here. Yeah. But first time back to Europe since the pandemic, though.
Yeah. That's going to be huge. So exciting, right?
I'm so excited. Yeah.
Does your family go with you when you do these retreats?
No. Not anymore. Yeah. I used to take my son with me everywhere. Yeah. He went to his first retreat with me when he was 6 months old in Costa Rica. Yeah. And he's been to Paris. He's been all over the world with me. And he's a great teacher. But now that he's in 6th grade, he's like, sorry, Mom. Right. I'm gonna hang out with my friends.
Does he practice?
He has for pretty much his whole life, but now he's kind of taking a time out with it. Yeah. He's too cool for school, you know. He's tweening pretty hard right now. Yeah, I think he'll circle back around. I mean, he knows more about Hindu mythology and yoga philosophy than most adults, truly. So I think it'll circle back eventually when he realizes, like, oh, this wealth of knowledge is really beautiful and really helpful. So it just takes time.
I love hearing you're exposed to this now at such a young age, right? Right? It's such that there's kids yoga and there's kids growing up with it. And
we have kids yoga here actually every week. We have it on. Well, we do 8-week sessions now, so it's Tuesday after school for 8 weeks at a time, ages 5 to 9. It's so important.
Yeah. I mean, I always wish I had yoga as a kid. I think my life would have been much different.
Right.
What would you say if your kid or if anyone came up to you and was like, you know what, I think I want to own a yoga studio, what would be the first piece of advice that you would give this person?
I would say, I would advise them not to do it if they expect to make a lot of money. It's really a labor. It's not.
Yeah.
Not the most lucrative thing you could do. So get real with your expectations there. But if you love yoga and if you love community and creating community, then it is such rewarding work. Absolutely. But it's not easy. No.
Yeah. And this is one of the reasons I love chatting with studio owners, because you do this because you love it, you know, and it's almost like a lot of people can't imagine doing anything else, right? It's almost like this, you have to do it. You're not going to make money. It's going to be hard, right? But it's still, there's such joy and such love in it, you know, and it's so important.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for supporting us as well. It's the same with magazines. You won't get rich.
You're fighting the good fight, you know.
You do. But it's so joyful, and it's such a community experience, and I can't imagine not doing it. So it's the same for me. And you know, it's interesting to me that it's always other small businesses that support our work. So I'm so grateful and thankful for you for doing this and for helping us get the magazine out there. So thank you for being a studio partner and for joining us for the Love issue, which will be launching in June and available at your studio.
Great.
Yay!
Thank you so much. It was so nice talking to you today.
Yes. Can you give me another quick twirl around the studio? You have outdoor space too, right?
So through those barn doors, there's a garage door, and the garage door opens up to the outdoor garden studio. It's raining right now, so I'm not going to show you, but we do indoor-outdoor practices. So you choose to be outside in the garden, which is super dreamy most of the year in LA, except for this really weird winter we're having where it's rained like the Pacific Northwest. It's been so crazy.
You have had very strange weather so far. I mean, it's like kind of weird.
It's super weird. Yeah. Everybody's house is leaking. Everybody's business is flooded. Like, it's just nuts. Yeah.
But you're still there. You're still hanging on.
You're going. Yeah.
Nothing's taking you down.
Right? Yeah. No matter what.
Yeah. Kate, thank you so much. I enjoyed looking at your gorgeous studio and chatting and meeting you. And thank you so much for supporting us.
Okay. We'll be in touch. Have a beautiful day.
Take care.
Bye.